In the vast expanse of the universe, there existed a powerful galactic empire that spanned countless star systems. This empire, led by the mighty Emperor Orcs, sought to bring all planets under its dominion. It had succeeded in conquering or subduing hundreds of worlds. But there was one planet that stubbornly resisted the empire's might, a small blue-green world called Earth. The humans of Earth were a proud and independent species. When the Galactic Empire first made contact, the humans were awed by the advanced alien technologies and the sheer scale of the empire. However, that awe soon turned to wariness as the empire's true nature became clear. The empire demanded that Earth submit to its rule, give up its sovereignty, and obey all imperial laws and decrees. Earth's leaders gathered to discuss this ultimatum. After much heated debate, they came to a decision. Earth would not bend the knee. It would not surrender its freedom and way of life. The humans valued their independence too much to become mere subjects of a galactic tyrant. They politely but firmly declined the Empire's offer to join its ranks. Emperor Orcs was not used to defiance. His fury knew no bounds when he heard of Earth's refusal. In his rage, he issued a decree that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. Earth was now a restricted zone, forbidden to all citizens of the Empire. All trade, travel, and communication with Earth was banned under pain of severe punishment. Any imperial citizen found to be aiding or abetting the humans would face the full wrath of the Empire. The decree sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Never before had the Empire completely cut off a planet in this manner. The other subjugated races whispered amongst themselves, wondering what made the humans so special, so dangerous that the mighty Empire would go to such lengths to isolate them. On Earth, the news of the decree was met with a mix of reactions. Some were fearful, worried about the consequences of angering such a powerful enemy. Others were defiant, seeing the ban as a badge of honor, a sign that the humans had stood up for themselves against tyranny. Leaders made impassioned speeches, vowing that Earth would never submit, never surrender its freedom, no matter the cost. However, as the initial bravado faded, the reality of the situation began to sink in. Earth was now alone, cut off from the rest of the galaxy. The ban meant an end to all galactic trade, which Earth had come to rely on for certain key resources and technologies. Shortages began to appear as stockpiles dwindled. The economy, which had expanded to include galactic markets, started to contract. The Empire, it seemed, was content to let Earth wither on the vine. By isolating Earth completely, Emperor Orcs hoped to starve the humans into submission without having to fire a single shot. He wanted to make an example of Earth, to show the galaxy the price of defiance. But the humans were a resourceful and tenacious bunch. They had faced existential threats before, had clawed their way back from the brink of extinction. They would not go gentle into that good night. If the Empire thought that a mere trade ban would bring Earth to its knees, it had badly underestimated human resolve. As the decree echoed through the stars, the humans of Earth began to plan, to adapt, to resist. They fortified their defenses, rallied their allies, and prepared for the long fight ahead. The Empire had made a grave mistake in making an enemy of Earth. The humans would show the galaxy the true meaning of defiance in the face of tyranny. This was only the beginning. In the wake of the Empire's decree, Earth found itself isolated and facing an uncertain future. But the humans were not ones to take a threat lying down. They had survived countless challenges throughout their history, and this would be no different. The leaders of Earth came together in a grand council, representatives from every nation and faction putting aside their differences to confront this common enemy. There were some who counseled surrender, arguing that the Empire was too powerful to resist. But they were drowned out by the voices of defiance, those who refused to bow to tyranny no matter the odds. In a stirring speech, the elected spokesperson of the council addressed the people of Earth. "The Empire thinks it can bully us into submission," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "They think that by cutting us off, they can make us weak, make us desperate. They are wrong. We are humans. we do not break easily. We will not be cowed by threats or intimidated by power. We will fight, and we will win." Her words ignited a fire in the hearts of the people. Across the planet, humans rallied to the cause. They knew the road ahead would be hard, that sacrifices would have to be made. But they also knew that some things were worth fighting for: freedom, independence, the right to choose their own path. Earth's greatest minds came together, scientists and engineers pooling their knowledge to devise ways to survive and thrive without the resources of the Galactic Trade Network. They developed new technologies, found alternative sources for critical materials, streamlined and optimized every aspect of their civilization. It was a time of innovation and ingenuity, of humans pushing the boundaries of what was possible. At the same time, Earth fortified its defenses. The planet's armed forces, long focused on maintaining peace on Earth, now turned their eyes to the stars. They developed new weapons and strategies, designed to counter the advanced technologies of the Empire. Every citizen underwent basic defense training, ready to fight for their planet if the need arose. The Empire watched these developments with growing concern. They had expected Earth to wither and beg for mercy. Instead, the humans seemed to be thriving in their isolation, becoming stronger and more united with each passing day. Emperor Zorgax's advisors warned him that he may have made a mistake, that Earth could become a beacon of hope for other oppressed planets, a symbol of resistance against imperial rule. But the Emperor's pride would not allow him to back down. He had made a decree, and he would see it through. He ordered the Imperial fleet to surround Earth, to tighten the noose and choke off any remaining trade or communication. If the humans would not submit willingly, he would starve them into obedience. As the Imperial ships took up their positions, forming a blockade around Earth, the humans watched and waited. They knew this was only the beginning, that the true test of their resolve was yet to come. But they faced the future unafraid, united in their determination to protect their way of life. On Earth, a new saying began to spread, whispered in the streets and shouted in the rallies. Earth stands proud. Earth stands tall. We will never let the Empire make us fall. It became a mantra, a rallying cry, a promise. Come what may, Earth would never surrender its freedom. The humans would fight to the bitter end and beyond. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy. The Empire, vast and powerful, against the humans of Earth, small in number but indomitable in spirit. It was a battle of wills, a test of resolve, and the humans were determined to show the galaxy what they were made of. The Imperial ships hung in the sky above Earth like a constellation of malevolent stars. They formed an impenetrable ring around the planet, a physical manifestation of the Emperor's decree. No ship could enter or leave Earth's orbit without facing the full might of the Imperial fleet. On the surface, the effects of the blockade were starting to be felt. Trade had always been the lifeblood of Earth's economy, and now that lifeblood was being choked off. Prices soared as goods became scarce. Rationing was implemented for food, fuel, and other essentials. The people of Earth found themselves having to make do with less, to find creative solutions to shortages. But even as they struggled, the humans refused to give in. They adapted, as they always had. Farmers worked overtime to increase food production. Scientists developed new ways to recycle and conserve resources. Engineers designed more efficient machines that could do more with less. In the face of adversity, the human spirit shone through. The Empire, however, was not content to simply wait and watch. They knew that as long as Earth remained defiant, it was a threat to their power. The blockade was just the first step. Imperial agents infiltrated Earth, sowing discord and dissent. They tried to turn the people against each other, to undermine the unity that made Earth strong. Saboteurs targeted key infrastructure, hoping to cripple Earth's ability to resist. But the humans were vigilant. Earth's intelligence agencies, working in concert with ordinary citizens, rooted out the Imperial spies and saboteurs. The people stood together, refusing to be divided. For every act of Imperial aggression, Earth responded with resolve and resilience. In space, the Imperial fleet maintained its chokehold, but Earth's space forces, though smaller in number, were cunning and brave. They launched daring raids, striking at the Imperial ships and then vanishing into the void. They used their knowledge of Earth's orbital terrain to their advantage, luring the Imperial ships into traps and ambushes. One such raid became legendary. A small team of Earth's best pilots, flying advanced stealth craft, managed to penetrate the blockade under the cover of a meteor shower. They struck at the heart of the Imperial formation, damaging the flagship and disrupting the blockade's coordination. For a brief moment, a gap appeared in the Imperial lines. Through that gap, a few brave merchant ships managed to slip through, carrying with them precious cargo and hope. They had shown that the blockade was not unbreakable, that with courage and cleverness, Earth could still reach out to the stars. The Empire was enraged by this defiance. The Emperor himself, his pride wounded, ordered the fleet to tighten its grip. More ships were called in, patrols were doubled. No mercy was to be shown to any ship attempting to break the blockade. The noose around Earth tightened, and the people felt the squeeze. But even in the darkest of times, the humans held on to hope. They knew that they were fighting not just for themselves, but for the freedom of all those who suffered under the Empire's rule. They were the spark that could ignite a galaxy-wide revolution. And so they endured, they adapted, they resisted. In the Grand Council chambers, Earth's leaders met again. They knew that the road ahead was long and hard. They knew that sacrifices would have to be made. But they also knew that surrender was not an option. They would find a way to break the blockade, to reach out to potential allies among the stars. They would show the galaxy that the human spirit was indomitable. As the blockade tightened its grip, as the Imperial threat loomed larger, the people of Earth stood united. They faced the uncertain future with courage and determination. They were the last bastion of freedom in a galaxy under tyranny, and they would not fall. Earth would endure, Earth would fight, and Earth would rise. As the Empire's grip tightened around Earth, a spark of resistance was ignited. It started small, a whisper in the shadows, but it soon grew into a roaring flame. Across the planet, people who refused to bow to tyranny came together, united by a common cause. They called themselves the Resistance, and their mission was simple: to fight back against the Empire, to keep the spirit of freedom alive. They were a diverse group, from all walks of life, soldiers and civilians, young and old, rich and poor. What they lacked in resources, they made up for in determination and ingenuity. The Resistance worked in secret, always one step ahead of the Imperial agents who sought to crush them. They established hidden bases, underground networks, secret codes, and communication channels. They gathered intelligence, smuggled supplies, and planned their next moves. Among the Resistance's leaders was a young woman named Laura. She had lost her family to an Imperial raid when she was just a child, and had grown up with a burning hatred for the Empire. But she channeled that anger into a fierce determination to fight, to protect others from suffering the same fate. Lara and her team specialized in infiltration and sabotage. They would sneak onto Imperial ships, disable their systems, steal their secrets. They were ghosts, striking and then vanishing before the Empire could react. Their exploits became legendary, sparking hope in the hearts of the oppressed. One of their most daring missions was to hijack an Imperial supply ship. The Empire had been hoarding resources, leaving Earth's people to suffer. The Resistance planned to steal these supplies and distribute them to those in need. It was a dangerous mission. The supply ship was heavily guarded, and the consequences of failure were dire. But Lara and her team were determined. They spent weeks planning, studying the ship's schematics, rehearsing every move. When the day came, they struck with precision and skill. They infiltrated the ship, overpowered the guards, and seized control of the bridge. Against all odds, they had succeeded. They set course for Earth, the stolen supplies safely in their hold. But the Empire would not let this defiance go unanswered. They sent a fleet of warships to intercept the stolen supply vessel, to make an example of the resistance. Lara and her team found themselves outgunned and outnumbered, facing impossible odds. Yet they refused to surrender. With daring and skill, they evaded the Imperial ships, using the supply vessel's own defenses against their pursuers. They sent out a call for help, and the people of Earth responded. Civilian ships, armed with makeshift weapons, rose up to aid the resistance, forming a blockade of their own. In a battle that would be remembered for generations, the people of Earth stood against the might of the Empire. They fought with courage and determination, knowing that they were fighting not just for supplies, but for the future of their world. Against all odds, they emerged victorious. The Imperial fleet was forced to retreat. The supply ships safely reached Earth. The people celebrated in the streets, hailing the resistance as heroes. Lara and her team had shown that the Empire was not invincible. That hope was not lost. But the fight was far from over. The Empire's resolve was only strengthened by this defiance. They vowed to crush the resistance, to make Earth pay for its insolence. The Emperor himself promised retribution, his words echoing across the galaxy. But the resistance remained undaunted. They had tasted victory, and they were hungry for more. They continued their work, striking at the Empire, supporting the people, keeping hope alive. They knew that the road ahead was long and hard, but they were ready to walk it. In secret bases and hidden rooms across Earth, the resistance planned and prepared. They were the spark that would ignite a revolution, the beacon of hope in a darkening galaxy. And they would not rest until Earth was free, until the tyranny of the Empire was nothing more than a bitter memory. The stage was set for a greater confrontation, a battle not just for Earth, but for the soul of the galaxy itself. And in the hearts of the resistance, a fire burned, bright and unquenchable. The Emperor was furious. The news of the resistance's victory spread like wildfire across the galaxy, igniting hope in the hearts of the oppressed and fear in the minds of the oppressors. The Empire's grip on power, once thought unassailable, now seemed to be slipping. In his grand palace on the Imperial homeworld, the Emperor summoned his most trusted advisors. They gathered in a vast hall, beneath the gaze of towering statues and the glare of harsh lights. The Emperor sat on his throne, his face a mask of cold rage. "This defiance cannot stand," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "The people of Earth must be taught a lesson. They must learn the price of rebellion." His advisors murmured their agreement, eager to please their master. They proposed plans of attack, each more brutal than the last. Bombard the planet from orbit, send in the legions, make an example of the leaders. But the Emperor silenced them with a wave of his hand. "No," he said, "we will not martyr them. We will not make them heroes. We will crush their spirit, not just their bodies." He leaned forward, his eyes glinting with malice. "We will give them a choice. They will submit to our rule, unconditionally and immediately. They will surrender their leaders, disband their armies, and accept our governors. If they do this, we will be merciful. We will allow them to live as subjects of the Empire." The advisors nodded, seeing the wisdom in this plan. But the Emperor was not finished. "But if they refuse," he said, his voice dropping to a whisper, "if they cling to their defiance, then we will destroy them. We will burn their cities, poison their fields, and shatter their world. We will leave nothing but ashes and bones. And the galaxy will know the folly of defying the Empire." The ultimatum was broadcast across Earth. On every screen and speaker, the Emperor's face loomed large, his words heavy with menace. The people of Earth watched in silence, their hearts filled with dread. In the Grand Council chambers, Earth's leaders met in emergency session. They debated long into the night, weighing the Emperor's demands against the cost of defiance. Some advocated for surrender, arguing that it was the only way to save lives. Others pushed for resistance, saying that death was preferable to slavery. But in the end, The choice was clear. Earth would not bow. They would not trade their freedom for the illusion of safety. They would stand, even against the might of the Empire. The reply was broadcast, the words of the Council spokesperson ringing with defiance. "We will not submit. We will not surrender. We will fight. And if we fall, we will fall as free people, not as slaves. The Empire has no power over us that we do not give, and we give none." The die was cast. The Emperor, watching from his distant throne, smiled a cold smile. He had hoped for this. He had longed for an excuse to crush this troublesome world, to make an example that would echo through the ages. He gave the order, and the Imperial fleet began to move. On Earth, the people prepared for war. The resistance worked feverishly, stockpiling weapons, fortifying bases, planning strikes. They knew that they were outmatched, that the coming battle would be the greatest test they had ever faced. But they were ready. They were united, and they were determined. Lara stood before a crowd of resistance fighters, her voice ringing with passion. "The Empire thinks it can frighten us into submission," she said. "They think we are weak, that we will break under their threats. But they are wrong. We are strong because we are free. We fight not just for ourselves, but for all those who suffer under the Empire's rule. We are the spark that will light the fire of revolution, and we will not be extinguished." The crowd roared its approval, their voices joining in a chant that echoed through the night. Earth stands. Earth fights. Earth will never fall. And in the skies above, the Imperial fleet approached, its weapons primed, its soldiers ready for battle. The final confrontation was at hand, a battle not just for the fate of Earth, but for the future of the galaxy itself. And in that moment, on the eve of war, the people of Earth stood tall, ready to face their destiny, whatever it might bring. The sky above Earth was filled with the lights of 1,000 ships, the Imperial fleet arrayed in all its terrible majesty. They hung in the void like birds of prey, ready to strike at a moment's notice. On the surface, the people of Earth watched and waited, their hearts filled with a mixture of fear and defiance. The Emperor had given the order. The time for negotiation, for threats and demands, was over. Now was the time for action, for the Empire to show its strength and crush the rebellion once and for all. The Imperial ships began their descent, their weapons primed, their troops ready for battle. But Earth was not defenseless. In the days leading up to the attack, the planet had been transformed into a fortress. Cities had become bunkers, parks had become artillery emplacements, and schools had become command centers. Every citizen was a soldier, ready to fight for their home and their freedom. As the Imperial ships entered the atmosphere, they were met with a barrage of fire. Earth's defenses, built and manned by the tireless work of the resistance, lit up the sky. Missiles streaked through the air, lasers cut through the clouds, and the sound of battle filled the air. The Imperial troops, confident in their superiority, were taken aback by the ferocity of Earth's defense. They had expected a quick victory, a planet cowed by fear. Instead, they found a world united in defiance, ready to fight to the last. On the front lines, Lara and her team were in the thick of the fighting. They moved through the chaos of battle with the skill and precision of a well-oiled machine. They had spent months preparing for this moment, training and planning. And now their hard work was put to the test. They struck at the Imperial troops with a combination of cunning and courage. They laid traps and ambushes, using their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage. They hit and ran, always staying one step ahead of the enemy. And when the fighting was at its thickest, they were there, leading the charge, inspiring others with their bravery. But the Empire's strength was vast, and for every Imperial soldier that fell, 2 more seemed to take their place. They pushed forward, their weapons cutting through Earth's defenses, their numbers overwhelming the resistance fighters. Inch by inch, they gained ground, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. In the skies above, the battle raged on. Earth's pilots, flying cobbled-together ships and repurposed civilian craft, faced off against the sleek, high-tech fighters of the Empire. It was a battle of skill and will, as the outmatched Earth pilots used every trick and tactic they knew to hold their own against the Imperial aces. The battle raged for hours, the tide turning back and forth. For a moment, it seemed as if Earth might actually win, that the courage and determination of its people might be enough to overcome the Empire's might. But the Empire had one more card to play. From the flagship of the Imperial fleet, a massive weapon was unleashed. It was a beam of pure energy, so bright that it turned night into day, so powerful that it could level a city in a single blast. It struck at the heart of Earth's defenses, carving a path of devastation through the planet's surface. The people of Earth watched in horror as their cities crumbled, as their friends and loved ones were lost in the blink of an eye. The resistance fighters, battered and bloodied, fell back, their lines broken, their hope fading. But even in that darkest hour, they did not give up. They clung to each other, to their belief in freedom, to the knowledge that as long as even one of them still stood, the fight was not over. They retreated to their secret bases, to the hidden places where the Empire could not find them. And there, in the shadows, they began to plan their next move. The battle for Earth had begun, and though the Empire had struck a terrible blow, the people of Earth were not defeated. They had lost a battle, but not the war. And as long as the resistance lived, as long as the spirit of freedom burned in their hearts, they would never stop fighting. The Empire had started this war, but Earth would finish it, no matter the cost. In the aftermath of the Empire's devastating attack, Earth lay in ruins. Cities had been reduced to rubble, and the once proud defenses of the planet were shattered. The people of Earth, those who had survived, huddled in the ruins, their spirits broken, their hope all but lost. But the resistance did not despair. In their secret bases, hidden deep beneath the surface, they gathered and planned. They had always known that the Empire's strength was great, that they might not be able to win through force of arms alone. And so, in the years leading up to the invasion, they had worked on a secret project, a last resort in case all else failed. It was a weapon, but not like any the galaxy had ever seen. It was not a beam of energy or a missile or a bomb. It was something far more powerful, far more dangerous. It was a virus, a piece of code that could infiltrate the very heart of the Empire's technology. For the Empire, in all its might and majesty, had one critical weakness. It relied on technology for everything. Its ships, its weapons, its very infrastructure were all controlled by computers, by artificial intelligences, and automated systems. And the Resistance had found a way to exploit that weakness. The virus was the brainchild of Dr. Eva Patel, a brilliant scientist who had once worked for the Empire before defecting to the Resistance. She had spent years developing it, refining it, testing it in secret, and now, with the Empire's forces closing in on the last strongholds of the Resistance, she knew it was time to use it. The plan was simple but daring. A small team, led by Lara, would infiltrate the Empire's flagship, the massive dreadnought that served as the nerve center of the invasion force. They would make their way to the ship's main computer core. And there, they would upload the virus. It was a suicide mission. The chances of success were slim, and even if they managed to upload the virus, there was no guarantee it would work. But it was the only hope Earth had left. As Lyra and her team made their way through the bowels of the Imperial flagship, fighting past guards and security systems, Dr. Patel and her team worked feverishly to prepare the virus for deployment. They had only one shot at this, one chance to strike at the heart of the Empire. In the end, it all came down to a single moment, a single keystroke. Lara, battered and bloody but unbroken, stood before the main computer core. She inserted the data chip containing the virus, took a deep breath, and pressed the button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly at first, but with gathering speed, the lights on the computer core began to flicker and die. Across the ship, systems began to fail, weapons went offline, engines sputtered and stalled. And then, like a wave spreading out from the flagship, the virus began to affect the rest of the Imperial fleet. One by one, the great warships of the Empire fell silent, their systems crashing, their crews thrown into chaos. On the surface of Earth, the Imperial troops, suddenly cut off from their commanders and their support, found themselves outmatched and outfought by the resurgent forces of the Resistance. It was a turning point, a moment that would be remembered for generations. Against all odds, against the might of an empire that spanned the stars, Earth had struck back. And though the war was not yet won, though there were still battles to be fought and sacrifices to be made, the people of Earth knew that they had a chance, that freedom was within their grasp. In the years that followed, the story of Earth's defiance would spread across the galaxy, a beacon of hope to all those who struggled under the yoke of tyranny. And though the Empire would try to stamp out that hope, to crush the spirit of rebellion wherever it found it, they would always fail. For the people of Earth had shown that the greatest weapon of all was not a laser or a missile or a virus, but the unquenchable fire of the human spirit, the determination to be free, no matter the cost. And so, as the dust settled and the rebuilding began, the people of Earth looked to the stars not with fear, but with hope. They had stood against the darkness and prevailed. And they knew that, whatever challenges the future might bring, they would face them together, united and unafraid. For they were human, and they would never be broken.